You grew up on the real stuff. The grooves, the harmonies, the bands that played every note live, and somewhere along the way, you stopped believing that music still sounded like that. But what if you were wrong? What if right now, today, there are bands keeping that same soul alive, and most people have never heard a single one of them? This is not a playlist, this is a documentary countdown. 10 modern R&B bands, built on real instruments, real voices, real feeling. Are ranked from 10 all the way down to the one that sounds like the 80s never ended. Stay with us, because number 1 is going to change how you listen to music. Number 10, the Free Nationals, Beauty and Essex, featuring Daniel Caesar and Unknown Mortal Orchestra.
Pussy wet like an ocean, aphrodisiac.
Close your eyes for just a second. You know that feeling when a Sunday morning is so perfect, the light is right, the coffee is hot, nobody needs anything from you, and then a song comes on that just fits the moment like it was made for it? That is exactly what this track does to you. It is warm, it moves slow, it breathes like music that has nothing to prove. And that slowness, that confidence, well, that is a 1980s quality. Only music made by people who truly believe in what they are doing sounds this unhurried. The Free Nationals are a 4-piece band from Los Angeles, California, and most people first heard of them as Anderson .Paak's backing band. That alone tells you the level of musicianship we are working with. In 2019, they stepped out on their own and released their self-titled debut album on Empire Records. While Beauty and Essex features Canadian R&B singer Daniel Caesar alongside the psychedelic soul outfit Unknown Mortal Orchestra, and the combination is stunning.
Inspired completely, serenade you sweet.
Warm keys, soft drums, melodies that drift like smoke. The album did not storm the mainstream charts, but among musicians, producers, and serious music lovers, it became something close to a secret handshake.
Just looking for affection, add a piece to my collection.
You played it for people and watched their faces change. Fun fact, the album includes a tribute to Mac Miller, who had passed away just the year before. Mac was a close collaborator and a real friend to many in that world.
For hours,
That kind of moment does not come from a label meeting. It comes from real grief and real love. When you hear it on the record, you feel it, even if you don't know the backstory. In a world where the singer gets the spotlight,
I wanna be alone with you.
the band behind the singer rarely gets their moment. Most people found this album by accident, through Anderson .Paak fans who went digging. You know, there was no massive radio campaign, no viral push. The music just existed quietly and beautifully, waiting for the right ears. That is not a failure. That is actually how the best things work. And if you are the kind of listener who still goes digging, you just found something worth keeping. Stay right here, because number 9 is going to move your body before you even decide to move. Number 9, Vulfpeck, Deantown. I want you to picture a cookout. Somebody puts on a bass line so deep it nearly shakes the cups off the table. Nobody says a word, they just start nodding. That is Deantown. This track has no lyrics, no hook, no chorus to sing along to. It is 4 minutes of the most locked-in, joyful, ridiculous funk groove you have heard in years, and you will not be able to sit still for it. 45 seconds in, something in your body will just start moving on its own. The groove is that good, the pocket is that tight. Facts and context: Vulfpeck formed in Ann Arbor, Michigan around 2011, growing out of the music program at the University of Michigan. They built their entire following on YouTube. No major label machine, no radio play, no industry cosign, just videos of impossibly good musicians playing impossibly good grooves. While their bassist Joe Dart is the engine of Deantown. And the track is a direct tribute to Wilton Felder, the legendary bassist for the Crusaders, one of the great jazz-funk groups of the 70s and 80s. They released their music independently through Vulf Records and have played sold-out shows at Madison Square Garden without ever chasing mainstream attention. If Cameo and Zapp and Roger had a musical grandchild that grew up on YouTube, it would sound exactly like this. Vulfpeck do not have a lead singer who gets magazine covers. They have no dramatic backstory, no beef, no controversy, no personal tragedy to sell. They just have the music. And sometimes in this era of algorithmic celebrity, plain musical greatness is actually the hardest thing to break through with. But if you grew up loving the tight, with fearless funk of the 80s, the kind where every player serves the song, and nobody is showing off, this band will feel like finding a room in your house you never knew existed. Number 8 is where neo soul gets cool, and the guitarist recorded parts of it on his phone. Number 8, the internet come together. Imagine Sade in a late-night jazz club had a child who grew up listening to hip-hop and then decided to make R&B for people who think deeply and feel deeply. That is the internet. Come together is cool in a way that does not try to be cool, which is the only kind of cool that ever actually lasts. It drifts, it breathes, it gives you space. For someone who grew up on 80s R&B where the groove was everything and the music respected your intelligence, this track will hit a familiar spot you didn't know was still tender. The Internet are a Los Angeles-based collective that grew out of the Odd Future camp, the same world as Tyler, the Creator. The group is led by vocalist Sid and multi-instrumentalist Steve Lacy.
Hello, Charlie.
Whose guitar work became one of the most imitated sounds in modern R&B. What their 2018 album Hive Mind, at which features come together, was released on Columbia Records and earned a Grammy nomination for Best Urban Contemporary Album. The production philosophy is what matters most here. Live bass, live drums, real chords, warm analog feel. They recorded the album the old way, and people in a room together playing off each other, letting the chemistry breathe. That is exactly what made 80s R&B feel alive. Real humans making real music in real time. But the internet got somewhat overshadowed by the individual success of their own members. Sid launched a solo career. Steve Lacy became a superstar in his own right. The band as a collective got quieter as the individuals got louder. But Hive Mind is a complete, deeply satisfying record. that deserves to be heard start to finish. Put it on from the beginning one evening. Don't skip. Let it breathe. You will not regret it. Number 7, Tank and the Bangas. Quick. Have you ever watched a performer walk onto a stage and you just knew, before a single note played, that something extraordinary was about to happen? That is the only way to describe Tank Ball. Quick opens with this easy rolling groove, and then she starts talking, not even fully singing yet, just talking, and you are already locked in. The song moves through emotions the way a great Sunday service moves. Quiet and still, then building. Then so full of feeling you don't know whether to shout or just sit there with your hand over your heart. And then it ends and you just sit there anyway. Their Tiny Desk concert is recorded after winning the contest, has been viewed millions of times, and is widely considered one of the finest Tiny Desk sets ever filmed. People don't share that video the way they share regular viral content. They share it the way you used to share a mixtape. You don't send it to everybody. Now you send it to the one person in your life who you think is finally ready for it. That is the highest compliment music can receive. New Orleans has always made world-class music and never quite gotten the global recognition it deserves. Tank and the Bangas are too genre fluid for easy radio placement. They don't fit the box that streaming algorithms need to function.
Next thing that I know, I was leaning, he was driving so up.
But real music has never fit in a box. Neither did Parliament Funkadelic, neither did Prince. No, that company alone should tell you everything about where Tank and the Bangas belong. Number 6 is from the other side of the world, and Prince himself was a documented fan of this band. That alone is worth staying for. Number 6, Hiatus Kaiyote Nakamura.
To the sunrise under the sky.
There are songs that are enjoyable. There are songs that are good. And then there are songs that feel alive, like the music knows something about you that you haven't told anyone. Nakamura is in that last category. It moves in ways that don't follow the usual rules.
Love you, I love you, I do.
The time signature shifts. The chords go places you didn't see coming. And Napalm's voice sits on top of all of it like it was born there, liquid and raw and completely in control.
I do love you, I love you.
The first time you hear it, you might not know what to do with it. The second time, you'll understand. The third time, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. Hiatus Kaiyote are a 4-piece band from Melbourne, Australia. Formed around 2011 and led by vocalist and guitarist Napalm. Real name Naomi Saulfield. Their debut album, Talk Tomahawk, was released in 2012 on Flying Buddha Records and caused an immediate stir among serious musicians worldwide.
Sweet red earth will hold you like the strength.
White Nakamura earned them their first Grammy nomination for Best R&B Performance in 2015. A second Grammy nomination followed in 2016 for By Fire.
Ooh, I love you, I do.
Grammy nominations for an Australian neo-soul band with almost no mainstream radio exposure, and that tells you how undeniable the talent is. And the names who champion them: Questlove, Erykah Badu, and Prince, who was a documented admirer of this band before his passing. When those three names agree on something, you stop and pay attention. Hiatus Kaiyote are the definition of a musician's band.
Always love you, yeah, yeah.
Fellow artists revere them. Critics give them 5 stars, but the complexity of their music, the jazz-influenced harmonics, the shifting rhythms, the dense layered production,
we fly, rise together.
can feel like a lot on a first listen if you're not ready for it. Here's what I want you to hear though. If you grew up on Maze featuring Frankie Beverly, on the musicianship of Earth, Wind and Fire,
We fly, rise together with
Noean bands where every single person on that stage was a master of their craft, you will not find Hiatus Kaiyote complicated at all. You will find them completely
you. I love you, I do. Oh.
deeply, recognizably familiar. Number 5 is the one your aunt will walk in the room and ask about. She will not believe it's new. Number 5, Durand Jones and the Indications. Is it any wonder?
This ain't my child.
This is the one. This is the one you put on and somebody walks into the room and says, wait, is this new? And you tell them yes and they don't believe you because Is It Any Wonder sounds like it was recorded in 1981 in a Muscle Shoals studio with a full live horn section and a whole lot of prayer.
Is it any wonder?
The groove is patient. The harmonies are deep and full. Durand Jones's tenor sits over the top like a man who has been singing his whole life and has never once strained for a note. There is nothing rushed about this music, nothing forced. It is exactly as settled and assured as the records you grew up on. Durand Jones and the Indications formed at Indiana University around 2012. Jones met drummer and co-vocalist Aaron Fraser on campus, and the two became the heartbeat of a band that eventually signed to the Chicago-based soul label Dead Oceans. While their self-titled debut album was recorded for under $1,000 in a basement, that is a verified fact, and it sounds like $1 million. Is it any wonder?
I see you holding on to me, girl.
Was released in 2016 and introduced them to an audience of soul music purists who had been quietly, patiently waiting for something to sound like this again.
Gonna let you know that everything's alright.
Their follow-up albums showed a band that grows and stretches rather than repeating itself, which is exactly what the great 80s acts did. They did not stay still. They evolved. And they took you with them. Buckle up. Number 4 went global in 2023 and reminded the whole world that a great groove still belongs to everybody. Number 4, Jungle, back on 74. Some songs arrive like an announcement. You hear the first 8 bars and something in your chest just goes, yes. That is it. That is exactly what I've been looking for. Back on 74 is that kind of song. It opens with strings, then the bass line drops, then the falsetto harmony hits you like a warm wave off a dance floor you haven't been to in years, and suddenly you are moving. Not thinking about moving, just moving. None, it sounds like Earth, Wind and Fire went to London, fell in love with the city, stayed and made a record for everyone on Earth to share. Back on 74 got a massive second wave of attention when videos of people in their cars, windows down, volume up, completely losing themselves to this song, started flooding social media worldwide. Strangers in different countries, different ages, different backgrounds, all having the exact same reaction to the same groove at the same moment. Man, if that is not what 80s R&B was always built on, shared joy, shared feeling, the deep human experience of being in a groove together, then I genuinely don't know what is. Jungle are actually more well-known than most acts on this list. Back on 74 genuinely broke through in a way that surprised even longtime fans. But 45 plus R&B listeners who are not actively following new music would never have encountered them naturally. On streaming platforms, yet Jungle tends to be filed under indie or alternative, which means the very audience that would love them most never gets the recommendation. They belong right here, with you, in this conversation. Number 3, I have been holding this one back. Now we go all the way in. Number 3, SAULT controversy segment, wildfires/free. I told you earlier that there was a story to unpack at this entry, and I meant it. But first, the music. Because the music has to come first with SAULT, or nothing else makes sense. When you press play on a SAULT record, the first thing you feel is weight. Not heaviness, weight. The kind of weight that a great sermon carries. The kind an old gospel record has when you hear it early in the morning and the room is still quiet. And there is organ, there is rhythm, there is a voice speaking directly to the deepest part of you. And before you even find the words to describe what you're feeling, you already know that this music was made by people who believed completely in what they were doing. Facts and Context SAULT is a collective operating out of the United Kingdom, and they are the most mysterious and critically acclaimed R&B act of the 2020s. Nobody knows exactly who is in it. What the production is attributed to a figure known as Inflow, real name Dean Josiah Cover,
I know you ain't come this far.
Who has also produced landmark albums for Little Sims and Michael Kiwanuka, both of whom have won the Mercury Prize. SAULT dropped their debut album, 5, in 2019 with no press release, no interviews, and no biographical information. They followed it with 7. And then in the summer of 2020 released Untitled Black Is, timed to the global reckoning around the Black Lives Matter movement. The multiple major music publications called it one of the most important black music albums in many years. No faces, no campaign, just the music. Real soul music has always understood that it carries a purpose larger than entertainment. The greatest R&B of the 80s was not just enjoyable, it was intentional. It had something to say. SAULT knows this in their bones, and every choice they make, even the ones that frustrate you, it comes from that same deep conviction that music is not a product. It is a statement. Number 2 is the woman who may be making the most honest soul music alive right now. Don't move. Number 2, Cleo Soul Sweetbox / Heart of Gold.
Because I'm doesn't mean I'm young.
You know those records you used to put on late at night when the house was finally quiet and the world had stopped asking things of you, and you would just sit in the dark and let it hold you? Cleo Soul makes those records. Sweetbox is soft and intimate and completely unhurried. It moves at the pace of a slow exhale after a long day. Her voice does not demand your attention the way some singers do. It invites it gently. And once you accept that invitation and really settle into it, you are not going anywhere for the rest of the record. Something in you just relaxes, like the music knows exactly how tired you are. Like SAULT, Cleo Soul has maintained a near-complete absence from traditional press and social media promotion. She does not do interviews in the conventional sense. She does not chase visibility.
Done here and stay. I'll say like it's a high.
Her music spreads the way music used to spread. One person to the next, hand to hand, with someone sitting across from you and saying, "You have to hear this." In a world built entirely around noise and constant presence, that choice takes real courage, and the depth she has created in that silence is extraordinary. Quiet music gets undervalued in a noisy world. Cleo Soul does not shout. She does not perform emotional extremity.
Head up to the sky. It's beautiful outside.
She whispers the truth directly into your ear, and that requires you to be still enough to hear it. Stillness is a hard sell in 2024. But for 45-plus R&B listeners who know, who really know, the difference between a singer who performs feeling and a singer who actually feels it, Cleo Soul is one of the most important voices working in music right now, full stop, and now... the one that proved to the whole world that the audience for great R&B never went anywhere. Number 1.
If this song just hit you in that quiet place, don't let this moment be a one-time thing. Subscribe to Demo. We're building a home for real R&B and soul. The kind that heals, the kind that tells the truth. Hit subscribe and come back whenever you need a song that understands you.
Number 1, Silk Sonic, Leave the Door Open / Smoking Out the Window.
Romancing in the east wing and the west wing of this mansion was happening.
I want to tell you exactly where I was the first time I heard this. I was in the middle of something completely ordinary, and then those opening bars came through and I just stopped, sat down, turned it up, and for 3 minutes and 58 seconds, I completely forgot that it was 2021. The harmonies were deep and full. The production was warm and lush. While the groove was patient, the way only really confident music is patient, not rushing to impress you, not trying to grab you, just settled into its own rightness.
So tight, I won't bite unless you like. If you smoke, what you...
And then it ended and I played it again and then again after that, and I am not one bit ashamed of any of that. Fun fact. In their Grammy acceptance speech, both Bruno Mars and Paak paid direct tribute to the R&B legends who inspired Silk Sonic.
Tell me that you're coming through.
The artists whose records they studied and loved and learned from. When they did not pretend the music came from nowhere, they named the lineage out loud on the biggest stage in music in front of the whole world. That kind of honesty and gratitude is rare, and it mattered. The most remarkable thing about Silk Sonic is not the Grammys or the chart positions, as extraordinary as those are. The most remarkable thing is what they proved. They made a fully deliberately retro-sounding record rooted deep in the sound palette of 70s and 80s soul, and it became a massive mainstream hit in 2021. Not a cult favorite, not a critical darling, a genuine, undeniable commercial phenomenon that should not have worked according to every conventional theory about what modern listeners want.
And if you're hungry, girl, I got the lace. Oh, baby, don't keep me.
And it worked completely because the music was that good, because the talent was that undeniable. And because there were millions of people out there, people exactly like you, people who grew up on the real thing and never forgot what it felt like. Who had been waiting quietly and patiently for something to sound like this again. Silk Sonic did not just make a great R&B record. They proved that the audience for great R&B had never gone away. You never went away. You were always here. You were just waiting for the music to come back to where you were standing, and it did.